Now that we have installed the Mockito library, we can open our email signing form again, and then we can create a new Dart file called email sign in form stateful test, like this. And as usual, we can import Flutter test, and we can also create our void main method like this. And before we start writing any tests, I want to quickly open the main.dart file, and as we can see at the top of the widget tree we have a provider with a material app as a child. And we already know that when we test widgets we need to give them an ancestor material app, otherwise things don't work. So we will need to create our email signing form with an ancestor material widget, but also we will need to add a provider of auth base as well. Otherwise, we will not be able to call the authentication APIs when we try to sign in. In other words, when we are trying to test a specific widget, we need to ensure that it has all the ancestor widgets that it needs in order to work properly. Otherwise, we will get some runtime exceptions. So before we write our first test, I think it would be useful to create a helper method that will pump our widget with everything that it needs to work properly. So here we can create a future of type void, and then pump email sign in form, which takes a widget tester, and this is going to be an async method like this, and this will await for tester.pump widget, and here we need to create a material app which we need to import. And this will have a home, which is a scaffold with a body. And here we can create our email sign in form stateful, like this. And I can import this, and I can quickly format the code as well. By the way, the reason that we add a scaffold is that the email signing form stateful doesn't have one already. Okay, so with this setup, we can pump an email signing form stateful. However, we still need to add a provider of auth base. And as we have said before, we don't really want to use a real authentication service. And instead, we want to use a mock authentication service. So as a next step, I'm going over here and I'm going to type the following: class mock auth extends mock. And I need to import mock from the Mockito package, and then implements auth base, like this. And I need to import auth as well. And with just one line of code, we have created a mock class with Mockito. And now that we have this, we are going to add a mock auth variable, and then we can define the setup method. And inside here, we're going to say mock auth equals mock auth, like this. And by configuring things this way, then a new mock authentication service will be created every time we run a test. And I will explain why this is a good idea later on. But for now, we can carry on. And here we can add a parent provider of auth base. And I need to import provider. And then inside the builder, I'm going to return the mock auth variable that I've defined over here. And now that we have implemented this method, we can use it to create and configure an email signing form stateful widget in our tests. In summary, there are cases where we can't just pump the widget that we want directly, because widgets often require certain ancestor widgets in order to work properly. And what we have done here is to create a test hardness that we can use to test our widget. And different widgets may require different ancestors, but the general principle is that they need to be configured correctly if we want to test them. Okay, so let's continue on the next video.